You know that feeling when you wake up on a Saturday morning, the weather looks like something out of a Starbucks commercial, birds are singing, coffee's hot, and you think, this is going to be the perfect day? Yeah, that was me, right up until the HOA's very own Karen showed up. At the time, I was bent over, polishing my 1965 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, the pride of my life, shining so bright it could reflect my own happy face back at me. But in Maple Rest Heights, happiness has an expiration date, and it expires the second Patricia Brennan aka. HOA Karen appears at the end of your driveway, wine tumbler in hand, walking like an undercover cop investigating a homicide. I didn't know it then, but she was already cooking up a storyline in her head, turning me from a guy washing his car into the most dangerous criminal in the suburbs. And trust me, just a few hours later, I'd be in handcuffs in broad daylight, with neighbors live streaming the whole thing, while the HOA queen stood there smiling like she'd just won an Emmy. But the best part? A few weeks later, she'd be the one leaving court in the back of a prison van. I moved to Maple Rest Heights 3 years ago for one simple reason: peace, privacy, and a driveway big enough to park an entire lineup of classic cars without stacking them like Lego bricks. It sounded like suburban paradise, but this paradise came with a gatekeeper, Patricia Brennan. Patricia is the HOA president, and if her job description were written out, it would say, expert in spotting anything that makes you happy and turning it into a violation. The neighborhood legends about her are endless. Finding a neighbor because his grass was too green compared to the Kentucky bluegrass standard. Sending a warning letter because Christmas lights were too bright, like Las Vegas. Measuring people's lawns weekly because they were half an inch taller than regulations allowed. And as for her style, picture a textbook, Karen, oversized sunglasses covering half her face, a wine tumbler engraved with Patricia, and a walk that screams she owns the entire subdivision. But here's the most important thing you need to know. In Maple Rest Heights, if Patricia doesn't like something, it becomes a public safety threat after one HOA meeting or a single 911 call. And my Rolls-Royce? It was the perfect spark to ignite the HOA storm she was about to unleash. That morning, I had just finished my weekend ritual, washing down my 1965 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, drying it, polishing it, and rolling it out onto the driveway, purely to make the neighbors a little jealous. But to Patricia Brennan, seeing jealous meant seeing a threat to the community. An hour later, my mailbox got a new decoration. A neon pink warning notice claiming my car was too ostentatious and had to be stored in the garage to maintain neighborhood harmony. I laughed, figured it had to be a prank from Jeff, my neighbor who loves trolling me. But then, the all HOA email arrived. Subject line: car show or crime scene. Attached, a long lens photo of my Rolls, taken from a distance, with a note urging residents to stay alert due to an unfamiliar vehicle in the neighborhood. Within 24 hours, the breaking news spread across Maple Rest Heights. Some claimed I was laundering money. Others said I was a professional gambler. A few whispered I had mafia connections. And Karen, she just strolled around with her wine tumbler, smiling the smile of someone who'd planted the seeds of chaos and was waiting for Harvest Day. Little did I know that harvest would come sooner than expected, and it would start with 3 police cruisers and the blare of sirens pulling up to my house. If you think Karen would stop at sending emails and spreading rumors, then welcome to the upgraded version of Karen now, with Hollywood crime scene mode. My security cameras caught everything. 11:47 a.m. Patricia creeps into my driveway, glancing around like she's auditioning for a spy role in a James Bond movie, but with the walk of desperate housewives. She pulls a small bag of white powder from her pocket and sprinkles it all over the seats and floor of my car like a cocaine party had just gone down. Next, she slips a metal toy gun under the driver's seat. From the camera angle, it looked exactly like the real thing. Not stopping there, she grabs a red spray can and scrawls Gang Zone across the side of the car, adding a few gang symbols that she probably learned from Netflix shows. Then, like a chef putting the final garnish on a dish, she sprinkles a few spent bullet casings across my driveway. The dessert? An old wallet from my garage, stuffed with fake ID papers under the name of a guy currently wanted by the police. 15 minutes later, Karen calls 911, her voice trembling. There's a dangerous gang in the neighborhood. I saw guns, drugs, and gang signs right outside their house. 20 minutes after that, 3 patrol cars, a K9 unit SUV, and officers in bulletproof vests roll up, sirens wailing like they're taking down a cartel boss. I'm ordered to kneel in the driveway, hands on my head, while Karen live streams it all, captioning, "Protecting the community is my duty." And that's when it hit me. This wasn't HOA drama anymore. This was war. I'd never been in the back of a police car before, but trust me, it's nothing like in the movies. The seat feels like a brick, the doors have no handles, and the feeling of your neighbors live streaming you? Priceless. At the station, the truth came out fast. The drugs were baking soda. The gun was a toy. The bullet casings were duds. The papers in the wallet? Printed on cheap office stock, still smelling of fresh ink. I handed the security footage to the sergeant, who also happened to be in my golf group. He watched, his face turning red. You're right. This is a false report and a staged crime scene. Wasted time, wasted resources, and blatant abuse of 911. He printed me a copy of the police report, scribbled the city attorney's number on a slip of paper, and said the one line I'll never forget. If you want to sue, you've got one hell of a case. On the way home, I looked at my rolls still wearing the big red gang zone and smirked. Karen thought she was clever, but she just handed me a VIP invitation to the biggest legal party of her life. And trust me, I'd be the DJ kicking off the music at that party. 2 days later, Karen got a little gift from the city attorney. A formal warning letter, sent via certified mail, CC'd to the entire HOA board, and best part posted publicly on the city's website. The content? Something along the lines of, cease calling 911 over petty nonsense, or face civil lawsuits and possible criminal charges. And to really spice things up, the letter used my Rolls-Royce incident as the example case. Within hours, the HOA Facebook group exploded. Karen's posts about crime in the neighborhood vanished without a trace. Her private messages leaked, including one where she wrote, "I hate that car, it's so showy." Memes popped up everywhere. Karen in a police hat with the words, "Drama Patrol," slapped across the image. The HOA held an emergency meeting. The verdict: temporarily suspended all of Karen's board powers. Stripped her admin access to the HOA Facebook group she ran like a personal dictatorship. The following week, the neighborhood held a full community meeting. Instead of the usual 20 attendees, over 200 residents showed up. Everyone had their own Karen story. Measuring lawns weekly, fining people over Christmas lights, yelling at kids for running a lemonade stand. The vote? 100% in favor of removing Karen from the HOA board. That's when I knew this was just the warm-up act for the grand finale of Karen's life. When the civil lawsuit officially began, my attorney switched into full hunter mode, and the target was Karen. During discovery, we unearthed a treasure trove that Netflix could turn into an entire limited series. Security camera footage showing every second of her sprinkling drugs, planting the toy gun, and spraying gang zone across my car. Internal HOA emails where Karen called me a show-off and promised to find a way to get him kicked out of the neighborhood. And the pièce de résistance, an Excel file titled Compliance Score XLSX, where she scored every house in the neighborhood. In the spreadsheet, planting flowers, not to her taste, equals -5 points. Parking a pickup truck on the street equals -10 points. Me? Think he's better than everyone, needs to be taken down a notch, equals -50 points. At her deposition, my lawyer played the video in front of Karen and then asked, "Do you have any evidence that Mr. Hartley's vehicle was involved in any illegal activity?" Karen stayed silent. He asked again. And then, in front of the camera, the attorneys, and the entire legal team, she sighed. "I just thought, a car that expensive shouldn't be in this neighborhood. It looks showy." I sat there watching her lawyer lower his head, probably thinking, how soon can I retire? On the day of the trial, Karen walked in as if it were just another HOA meeting, except this time she couldn't mute anyone's mic. She refused the plea deal, convinced that all she needed to do was explain and the jury would let her off. That was a confidence level, on par with Blockbuster turning down the chance to buy Netflix. The trial lasted 3 days. My lawyer opened with the episode from my security cameras. Karen sprinkling white powder, planting the fake gun, and spraying Gang Zone, looking like a CSI reenactment filmed on a $15 budget and directed by a cranky grandma. Next came the emails, the text messages, and the neighbor scoring Excel sheet, which had the entire courtroom laughing. It took less than 2 hours for the jury to return with their verdict: guilty misuse of emergency services and filing a false report. The judge handed down the sentence: 30 days in jail, 2 years probation, 500 hours of community service in neighborhoods she had previously complained about, $8,500 in fines and court fees. As for the civil case, her insurance company cut me a check for $75,000, along with a public apology letter printed in the newspaper and posted on the HOA's website. And just to be sure, the court issued a 100-foot restraining order, meaning the next time she wants to measure my lawn, she'll need industrial binoculars. You think the story ended in court? Oh no, that was just the after party. The very next week after the trial, the real estate company where Karen worked held an emergency meeting. The reason? A front-page headline that read, "Local realtor arrested over fake crime scene in HOA feud." It took them exactly 15 minutes to vote for immediate termination. The company owner even called me personally to apologize, saying, "We don't do drama here." But it didn't stop there. The State Real Estate Licensing Board opened an investigation, digging up a laundry list of past complaints, threatening clients, trash-talking buyers based on appearance, and pushing them to use her preferred contractors. The result? Her license was revoked for 2 years, along with a mandatory 100 hours of ethics classes. Her husband filed for divorce, requested full custody of the kids, citing her brand-new criminal record as the reason. The last time I saw Karen, she was loading boxes into an old U-Haul, looking gaunt and hollow-eyed, leaving the neighborhood to move back in with her parents in Ohio. I stood in my driveway, sipping coffee, watching the sunlight bounce off the rolls. And I swear, if that light happens to blind someone, well, they can go ahead and call 911. Just don't try to stage a Karen-style performance, because I already know how that story ends, and it's not pretty.